Coming up on Husky Insider, we take a look at two of the cornerstones of the St. Cloud State men's basketball team.
Honestly, we just try to feed off each other. With Gage, if he has a big dunk.
Trigger the three, Stone, battling it out. Gage Davis, the follow, and the stop.
If I hit a transition three or a big shot.
Scottie a heat check three, and he nets it. He's still on fire.
That gets everybody going.
Men's head basketball coach Matt Reimer also stops by to give us an inside look into the season.
We're in the middle of a hunt for a conference championship, and we control our own destiny because we get to play Moorhead on our home court. You know, I think that's what our main focus is right now.
And we'll break down your top 5 sports movies of all time. All this and more next on Husky Insider.
Touchdown, Husky.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of Husky Insider. I'm Megan Hedstrom.
And I'm Alex Curtis. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Husky Insider, where we take a look at all things St. Cloud State sports, as well as the events going on around the area. From the first time Scottie Stone put on a Huskies jersey 4 years ago, a lot has changed, from the players around the program to even their coach. In Scottie's final season, though, one thing that hasn't changed is his shooting, and he has set his legacy in stone. Take a look.
Scottie Stone pulls up a straight-on three. You betcha, baby. He is packed. On the right side, shot clock winding down. It's down to 5. Stone sets up for a three, and he drills it. Gets a screen off the ball for more tag. Ball uses the handle on it. Finds Scottie Stone. Scottie Stone with a sniper two from the left side. Rebound. Stone, another three.
When I hear the word sharpshooter, I feel like it's a guy that, doesn't necessarily think about his misses, but only his makes. The first thing that comes to my mind when I'm on the perimeter is survey the defense. If it's an open three, I'm definitely taking it.
On the shot clock, need to hurry. Stone fires up a long three. He was set.
Davis can hit the right back to Davis. Stone steps into a three. He needs it. He gets it.
My favorite sharpshooter would probably be Reggie Miller. I tried to play like Reggie Miller just because he was such a skinny guy playing in a physical NBA. He got beat up a lot, so I just try to be as scrappy and competitive as he is. When I'm at my most dangerous on the floor is probably once I see the ball go through a couple times at the beginning of the game. I can kind of string some shots together, and that's kind of just been my calling card and my knack. My hot spot on the court would probably be anywhere behind the three-point line.
Scottie, three left side, knock it down.
Swings to the right side. Scottie Stone, a three. He gets the Huskies on the board early. Stone on the right side, pulls up for the baseline. Try, and he got it to go.
7 on the shot clock. Scottie to the corner, finds open space for three. Right on the rim and back down. Popped up and in. Big three for Scottie.
My go-to move would probably be a right-hand fadeaway.
Foley for Mark Hall. Hall to curling Scottie Stone. Rise for three. Hit for three. 81-79. Huskies by 2.
Being the all-time leader in three-pointers made here is really a cool accomplishment. Growing up around here, I never really thought that I would be able to accomplish the things that I've done here. Just the competitive atmosphere, I would say that's probably what I'm going to miss the most. And playing in here is pretty special with a lot of the local people around here and being from this area.
Scottie broke the all-time three-point record on January 17th against the Duluth Bulldogs, and where better place to break it than right at home at Hollenbeck Hall. So Megan, Scottie Stone, obviously a very good shooter coming in, local kid from Melrose. Not a lot of people knew about him coming in, and since he's came here, he's just lit the world on fire.
He really has. He's a hot dog on and off the court. He can take any shot he wants. The kid has no leash on him. He's all go, all day.
And what's amazing about his game is just to be able to see him take over games. We saw last weekend against Augustana where he scored 13 straight points at one point during the game. The final 3 minutes, we were talking to Coach Reimer, and he was just wowed. He hasn't seen anything like that. And we see Gage put up 30 points like it's nothing, but then you see just somebody take over a game like he did. It was pretty amazing to see.
Well, that free reign is something great for him. He loves that. He loves to be the center of attention, and he has the talent to back it up. So if he can do it, I'd say go for it.
Absolutely. Somebody who's definitely helped out the Huskies in his 4 years and will definitely be missed when he graduates.
Without a doubt. Coming up on Husky Insider, we sit down with Quentin Doles to discuss the top 5 sports movies according to our online poll.
We also get a chance to talk to men's basketball coach Matt Reimer to discuss his love of basketball and where the team is headed in the future.
But first, coming up after the break, take a look into the life of one of the youngest St. Cloud State basketball players to reach the 1,000 point mark.
Stay with us.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Welcome back to Husky Insider, your home for all things Husky sports.
Recently in St. Cloud State basketball, sophomore Gage Davis showed prominent dedication to his team and success with being named NSIC Player to Watch. Davis makes his way to officially join the Huskies 1,000 point club with an impressive awards resume. It's hard not to focus on this promising player, and our own Bobby Bullock got a chance to sit down with the Huskies leading scorer to see what defines his own personal game.
On to Hall, hand off to Davis. Davis on the run. Davis to the rim. Lays it up and in. Top of the key. Davis step back three. Davis buries it. Front of Davis. Davis walks by Kukla. Davis into the lane. Davis teardrop lays it in.
Gage, you've been a huge standout ever since you got here last year as a freshman for the St. Cloud State men's basketball team. But I want to start from the very beginning. What got you into playing basketball? Was it always basketball, or?
I actually started out playing baseball. I played baseball until about 2nd or 3rd grade, and I say my uncle really got me into playing basketball. He pushed me towards it more than really anybody else. He coached me early on, and I say he's a big reason where I am today.
And last year was your first year as a Husky. Walking through the doors of Hollenbeck, what was your first thought of becoming a Husky?
It was a new place for me, so I just really wanted to come in and have an impact as much as I could, especially coming from so far away, just making my own name here as well.
And I think last year, people thought that was a great season. They were excited to see what you were going to do this year. I think this year you're even having a better season, broke the 1,000 point marker as a sophomore with only 49 games. So what's been working so well for you this season?
Just trying to stay positive. Coach, he really pushed me because in the beginning of the season I was struggling the first few games out in California, and he just really told me to keep my head clear and don't focus so much on how I'm playing. It'll come naturally. Just make sure I'm playing hard every play.
And then I know when you did score your 1,000 point, your mom came up to watch. How special was that for you?
That was really special. She was only able to make it to one game last year, so her being able to come up and make it to my 1,000 point game was a big thing for me. My mom was definitely my inspiration for playing basketball. I want to be able to do something for her when I'm done with basketball. So I would say she's definitely the biggest influence. I owe her a lot back.
Catch up, half a step behind there on that one. Davis for three, top of the key, burns it down.
Now, when I read your bio, it was funny because you said your favorite player to look up to was Kevin Durant, and you score a lot of baskets, he scores a lot of baskets. That has something to do with why you look up to him so much?
Yeah, definitely. He scores the ball in every type of way on the court. He shoots threes, he goes dunks, he gets layups, and he does get his team involved. So I definitely like that about his game, and I try to model my game somewhat after him.
Now, you've played on other teams before. Would you say that this is one of the closest you've been with some of your teammates?
Yeah, definitely, especially because, in college you live with your teammates, so that adds a little extra factor. Being able to see them every day after practice and after games, you get to talk about how you feel about the game. So I say that definitely impacts.
Drives in the lane, the elbow, back cut. Davis right there to lay it up and in.
And talking to Coach Reimer about you personally, he says that this team wouldn't go if you weren't on it. And I think that's a huge compliment towards you. What is your relationship like with the coaching staff?
This coach staff, I really love this coach staff. You know, they're more of like players, coaches, I would say. They really care about what we have to say and about how we feel. So I'm glad to hear that he says that, and that's a big role that I'm happy to accept in this.
You were also one of the 100 Division II players picked for the Bevo Francis Award, the best Division II players in the nation. What does that mean to you?
Coach told me that that's a new award this year, so if I could be the first one to win it and bring it back to St. Cloud, that's something I hope I could do.
You've been playing basketball now your whole life. If there's one thing you've learned from playing basketball that you bring to your everyday life, what would it be?
I would say just having a positive mindset, because when things don't go well on the court, you still gotta move on next play mentality, and that goes for everything in life. Things aren't always gonna go your way, so you just gotta keep your head up and keep it pushing.
The rebound and still hold that 4-point lead. Davis, left wing three, kaboom!
Knockdown. What's really impressive about Gage Davis is just how he plays. 49 games to reach 1,000 points. Pretty amazing.
It's impressive. He's a young player, and usually you don't develop that confidence at such a young age. It usually takes time between your junior and senior year to develop something like that. So you can tell it's raw talent, and he's good.
Only a redshirt sophomore. You have to think that if he keeps this up, he might have a chance to contend for maybe the all-time points record.
Right. Where can he go from here? It's limitless for him.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Amazing. Test your sports knowledge and find out which sports movies are the most popular among viewers like you.
But coming up after the break, we sit down with Coach Matt Reimer to discuss the directions of SCSU men's basketball team.
We'll be right back.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
I'd like to welcome in head coach of the St. Cloud State basketball team, Coach Reimer. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I enjoy being here.
Now, earlier in the show, we talked a little bit about Gage and Scottie. We got to know them a little bit. What is their personality like from your perspective?
Well, they're two kind of different kids. Scottie's very intense and very driven. Gage is laid back but also driven, but they're two really different kids. Gage is kind of silly and kind of the light of practice. He's always laughing and giggling, and Scottie's got a little more serious tone to him now. Scottie likes to have fun too, but Scottie's much more of a, hey, let's drive everybody, and Gage just kind of goes with the flow.
Having those two on your team, what kind of a role do they play in your guys' team success this year?
Well, I mean, there are two leading scorers, and there are go-to guys, and so I think, you've got two different players there. Again, that makes it really hard for teams to focus on how you're going to stop them. Scottie's obviously one of the best shooters that we've ever seen here at St. Cloud State and has a three-point record for most makes. And Gage is more of a driver slasher type, and so it makes it really hard for teams to focus on how you're going to stop them. But the thing that's really impressive about those guys is that they're 1 and 3 in our team in assists, and so they're not afraid to give the ball up and help other guys. They're really all about winning, and it's nice when your leading scorers care more about winning than they do their own numbers.
It's obvious that these guys kind of stand out on the court, but what is their personality like off the court?
Well, again, Gage is really kind of lighthearted and laughing all the time. And Scottie's, if you make a mistake around Scottie, he's going to let you know about it. He likes to get the zingers and the one-liners in there, and doesn't matter if you're a coach or a player or manager. If you say something wrong or goof up around him, he's going to let you know about it. But they're both really nice young men and represent our program really well.
Now, this is your third season as head coach. Before that, you were an assistant and even a player under Kevin Schlegel. How has that changed for you since you've been here?
Well, I'd like to say I was a player, but I didn't play here. But as a coach, when you're the assistant, you think you're invested. But since I've been the head coach, I've never slept the same way. It never leaves you. When Kevin was head coach, he ultimately was going to make the final decisions. Now I make the final decisions, and I mean, it's what I want. I wanted to run my own program and everything. So it's just a little bit different that way, where you're making the final call. As an assistant, the players used to come into my office all the time to hang out and, just kind of shoot the breeze. And now they go into my assistant's office. And, they're only coming in to talk to the head coach if there's a problem or if something they need help with. And that's I understand that. I saw that, change when I became the assistant and Kevin became the head coach. That's just the way the roles work and stuff. But I've enjoyed it, certainly my 3 years as a head coach.
Now, do you still talk with Coach Slagle at all?
Oh yeah, pretty much every week, at least once or twice a week during the season and after every game. And he's still a big part of mentoring me, and I like to bounce things off him. And he always prefaces it, well, I'm not the head coach, but if I was, and I always like, just tell me what you think. We've been through so much together that I trust him, and he sees things a little differently than I do sometimes, and sometimes I need that perspective.
Now, give us a little insight on what your relationship is with the players. Are you more of a mentor, father figure to them, or do they see you as more of their friend?
I would say they'd probably see me more as a mentor. I mean, you'd have to ask them for sure, but it's kind of like raising your own kids. You don't want to be friends with them, but once they're gone, my favorite thing to do is to hang out with the guys that are done playing now, and I talk to a lot of those guys, and that becomes more of a friendship role, and that's when you hear the stories about, well, did you know this was going on, Coach? No, I didn't hear that one. And well, I bet you didn't know this. Well, yeah, I knew that happened. And well, why didn't you say anything? And well, there's certain things you just don't talk about. You don't need to poke a bear, but I think that they would see me more as a mentor and a leader than as a friend.
Now, when we spoke to Gage, he said you were more of a player coach. What does that mean to you?
Well, I let them play. I want them to, those guys are very talented. They don't need me micromanaging them. Obviously, I want to put them in positions to be successful, and ultimately I'm going to have the say, and sometimes they do things I don't like, but I think they also know that they can make a mistake or two, and I'm going to let them play through that. But I want those guys to use their talents, and I'll often ask them, hey, what do you want to run? What do you like right now? What can we do what are you guys seeing on the floor? Because again, I don't want them thinking about, hey, I wonder what coach is going to have us do here, what he would want us to do. I want them to play the way that they're capable of within our structure.
Now, I know as the assistant coach, you were mainly in charge of recruiting and all of that. How has that changed now, and what is it like to recruit guys like Gage and Scottie to come here or play?
Well, it's different. When you're the assistant and kind of in charge of recruiting, you know everybody. And, I would always laugh at Kevin because he would forget names and mix names, like, what kid is that again? And now I find myself doing the same thing, and he laughs at me when I talk about it because Chad and Mahmoud, my two assistants, handle all the, they're the base of the recruiting. They get us the guys, and hey, coach, you need to go look at this guy or talk to this kid and stuff. And so it's different because I don't have as good a feel for, they'll be talking about younger kids, and I have no clue who they're talking about, and they have a good feel on it. Or even some seniors like, well, we've watched this kid a couple times, and it's probably not worth you watching. He's not good enough, or hey, you definitely need to take a look at this kid. And I'll watch him once and not, we'll talk about it and say, well, I don't think he's what we're looking for now, but maybe a month from now, hey, we do need this kid. He's playing much better, and I'll have forgotten about him or whatever. And so it's different that way where, when you're the assistant, you know everything that's going on, and as a head coach, when you're recruiting, you're really only focused on the guys you think can help you.
What is it like to recruit players like Gage and Scottie to come play here?
Well, I mean, they're two totally different recruiting situations. Scottie, growing up in the area, really wanted to come here, and when we got around to offering him, it took a day for him to say yes. He was all in. Gage is here primarily because of his relationship with Coach Abdel Fattah, because Mahmoud had coached him in AAU and knew him, and when he was looking to transfer to Division II school, we were really the only school he looked at because of that relationship. Obviously, he felt comfortable enough with me and after meeting me, but really Mahmoud had more to do with that one, and that's okay. I mean, guys come here for a variety of different reasons, but as long as they're having a good experience, that's what we're really hoping for.
So moving on from here, what are your guys' goals for the rest of the season?
Well, we're in the middle of a hunt for a conference championship. Right now, as of today, we're one game out, and we control our own destiny because we get to play Moorhead yet on our home court. And I think that's what our main focus is right now, is to try to win a conference championship. If we're good enough to do it, we'll find out over these next 6 games. We probably can't afford to drop more than one, if even that, if we want to be in the hunt there at the end. So just taking it one day at a time to try to get better and focus on the 2 teams we have coming up here in Concordia and Mankato.
Well, Coach, I'd like to thank you for coming in, spending some time with us. We really appreciate it.
Anytime, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
When we come back, our own Quentin Doles has your top 5 sports movies and some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list. Stay tuned to find out who made the list. We'll be right back.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.
Welcome back to Husky Insider. We are joined now with Quentin Doles with our top 5 sports movies segment.
All right. Well, thank you. Sports of all kinds have been a tradition for many years all around the world. One of the biggest ways in which that tradition has been honored has been in the arts, most notably in cinema. Sports movies have been popular for many years, and they come in all shapes and sizes. But this begs the question, which are the all-time best? I recently took a poll on Facebook asking what people's favorite sports movies are, and I'm here now to tell you about the top 5 in no particular order. First on our list we have Remember the Titans, released in 2000, produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, directed by Boaz Yakin, and starring Denzel Washington. It centers around a newly desegregated high school football team in Virginia during the racial turmoil of 1971. Now this is one that I definitely consider a classic. I grew up with this movie. You know, I've always really enjoyed it, so I would have it in my personal top 5 as well.
It's probably one of my top 3 favorite sports movies of all time. I grew up watching that movie. I watch it so many times a year. It's not even funny. I love it.
This is a movie that people still talk about to this day. And when it comes out that long ago, not that 2000 is that long ago, but it's still remembered. It's a great movie. It's your parents talk about it, you talk about it. Our kids, hopefully, will talk about it, but it's a great movie.
It has certainly made a big impact on many people's lives.
For sure.
I would agree.
Next up is a film that came as a bit of a surprise to me, Goon, released in 2011, directed by Michael Dowse and starring Sean William Scott as a kind-hearted yet tough enforcer for a minor league hockey team. I really did not expect this one to come up on the list, but apparently enough people liked it. I haven't seen it myself, but what are your thoughts?
Really? That's definitely not something I would have expected. A movie that might maybe gain cult status or already has cult status, that I wouldn't necessarily put it on my top 5 or even on my top 10 list, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, we're going to do a play on words here. I'm not sure what Goon would pick this for their top 5. Whoever voted in your poll needs some serious talking to, because I would not agree that this is a top contender here.
Well, apparently enough people liked it, though I haven't seen it myself.
There we go.
The third film on our list is The Waterboy, released in 1998. It stars Adam Sandler as a kind yet dim-witted Cajun waterboy who starts showing great talent for the sport of football whenever he gets angry. This is another one that I grew up watching, and it's not one that I would have thought to be in my top 5, but it's certainly a very memorable movie.
I really like The Waterboy, and especially with how culturally relevant it still is. You can always hear somebody like, "You can do it!" All the time you hear that. That still lives on. Great movie.
It certainly is frequently quoted like that.
There we go.
This isn't one that I would necessarily think of immediately, but once you bring it to my attention, I would say it's up there. I wouldn't say top 5, but it's up there.
Yeah, certainly. Next on the list is considered a classic by many. That film is Hoosiers from 1986. Directed by David Anspaugh and starring Gene Hackman. It is an underdog story about a high school basketball team in Indiana. Now, I kind of feel bad for saying this, considering that so many people consider this a very classic sports movie. It's in many top 10s, but I've actually never seen this movie.
I've actually never seen it either, and it makes me feel bad because I talk to a lot of people that love sports and movies like I do, and I've never seen it. They always say, hey, you have to watch this, you have to see this, it's such a good story, and I haven't gotten around to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon as well. I've never seen it either. It's pretty pathetic. We're all interested in sports. We've never seen Hoosiers. It's embarrassing, but maybe we should all watch it this weekend.
There we go.
Have a real input on it.
Yeah, we'll have to get together and watch that sometime.
There we go.
Finally, finishing our top 5 is The Blind Side, a Best Picture nominee from 2009, directed by John Lee Hancock and starring Sandra Bullock and Quentin Aaron. The Blind Side tells the true story of Michael Orr, a boy who lived in poverty and is taken in by an affluent family, who help him to grow in his talent in the sport of football. This is an interesting one to talk about because not only is it based on a true story, but it's a very recent true story, and it's one where the main subject of the film is still playing in the NFL.
I really like The Blind Side. It's a good movie. The only thing that I really have with it is it kind of came out that Michael Orr said he didn't really like that interpretation of his story because it made him feel like, they said it made him sound dumber than he really was. So anytime you kind of have that, you kind of have to look at both sides of that story. I still like the movie. It is a very good movie, just kind of interesting.
Yep.
Well, I remember when this movie came out, and I know I was very excited to see it, and I don't think it disappointed. I really enjoyed this movie. I would probably put it in my top 10, maybe not my top 5, but I love the relationship that build throughout the movie and how much of a touching and true story it is, whether it's true or not. I still thought it was a great movie.
It is to be expected that sometimes movies that are based on a true story will take some liberties with the facts, and it did deliver a pretty entertaining movie regardless.
I agree.
So there were certainly some interesting choices in the top 5, but obviously not every movie could be included. I have a couple of honorable mentions that I would have included in my own personal list, including Rocky, Chariots of Fire, The Rookie, Greatest Game Ever Played, and The Sandlot. Not sure what you guys would have had in your top 5s or top 10s or whatever.
The Sandlot's definitely a good movie. I personally love Miracle. I love Remember the Titans, as we were talking about earlier. I definitely love The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler, not necessarily the Burt Reynolds one. That one's a little weird, but, you know, it changes with the times. That's what happens when you have a remake.
Yeah.
It's definitely a hard question. I guess I don't think about this all the time. What's your favorite top 5 sports movies? I'm going to go down the funny route and say Benchwarmers. You know, it's obviously not your typical sports movie of inspiration and a underdog story, but I thought it was hilarious and I thought it was well done.
Well, it is kind of an underdog story if you think about it.
In a way.
Extremely underdog.
Very underdog.
Well, that's all we have with you. Thank you for joining us. This was awesome. I love hearing about all these movies.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Fun.
All right. Well, when we return, Curtis and I will give you an inside take on the happenings of St. Cloud, and we'll give you the inside scoop about our next episode as well.
Stay with us.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Welcome back to Husky Insider. Now that we've got an inside look at basketball and some top sports movies, it's my turn to take an inside look at the St. Cloud State softball team. Softball team will be opening up their season this weekend and will be hosting Black Hills State on Friday and Saturday for a total of 4 games against these guys. Let's talk a little bit about pitching. They have an experienced staff. It's split up 2 and 2. Two new girls, 2 more experienced girls. It's an interesting mix. It's hopefully the older girls can step into the role of being their mentors and teach them what it's like pitching in a college sport. It's intimidating for those younger girls, so hopefully the coaching staff and those older girls can really help them out. And then we're going to go to hitting a little bit. Obviously, Jessica Gerger was the star of last year's team. Dinger Derby all day long. She's back and ready to hit. They've been working on hitting. They've been getting all that stuff done. Alyssa Coletta will be returning. They've also added a freshman who is also a lefty slapper. So having 2 slappers in our lineup is kind of important. It, adds to the stuff that we got going on. And overall defense, it's undecided what middle infield's going to look like. It's back and forth between some new talent and some older talent, whether or not people's injuries are going to affect their play. So overall defense is still not set in stone, but I guess this weekend it's time to find out. And now, what do you got?
Thanks, Megan. My inside take is the North Star College Cup. Since the NCHC conference was formed in 2013, it has been a place that all the Minnesota schools can kind of relive the old days of the old WCHA. It came out last week that they were going to take away due to the lack of fans that were at the event. I attended it last year and was basically able to sit anywhere I wanted. So there were so few fans at the game that I bumped around literally 4 or 5 times in the middle of the same period.
Wow.
Just sitting on the different sides of the arena. The problem was the Gophers fans who were supposed to drive the event and be the host school. However, if their team lost on Friday, which happened 2 of the 3 years of the tournament, they didn't care about the event, driving the attendance down. Shame on you, Gophers. This is why we can't have nice things.
Well, shame on them. Stay tuned for the next Husky Insider, where we'll be highlighting Trivia Weekend and bringing in special guests who play a huge role in putting together a full weekend of fun.
Also, love is in the air with Valentine's Day coming up, and we will be bringing you some tips and tricks for those lovebirds on Valentine's Day. From all of us here at Husky Insider, thank you so much for joining us.
We'll see you next time.